Hello, this is John Herring, Bilingual Services Program Manager for CalHR's Office of Civil Rights. This video provides instructions for those of you required to carry out an implementation plan under the Timely Aleatory Bilingual Services Act, which would be due October 1st of the odd-numbered year for those departments who identified deficiencies during the preceding even-numbered year's language survey. Both the survey and the implementation plan are completed through CalHR's LSIP online system located at jobs.calhr.ca.gov/LSIP. Training materials for the language survey and implementation plan are available through the login screen of the LSIP system. And if you have interest in an overview of those materials, please see the LSIP module login page located under the language survey training link on the login page. If you don't already have access to the system, click Sign Up Here. It will ask you to verify whether you're a master user. If you are not a master user, then your language survey coordinator will need to add you to the system as a reporting assistant. This is not useful during the implementation plan phase. If you are the master user, check this box and click Next. Once you've filled out the requested information and hit Next again, it will generate an email to our office letting us know that somebody is seeking access to the system. We will verify with your departmental language survey coordinator that you are intended to have master user access and will then approve. But instead of filling this information out, I'll go back to the login page. If you have forgotten your password, you can click the Forgot Password link. Once you enter your user ID and password and click Login, the implementation plan opens. I'm logged in here as a master user for University of California Board of Regents because they are not required to participate in the survey, so anything I do in this account won't have any impact on actual department data. Here again, the resources on the right-hand side of the page are described in the Training Module 2, Start Page Resources. The easiest way to navigate the LSIP system and make sure that you're not missing anything is to click this blue next arrow to move from page to page. This has the additional advantage that the next arrow saves whatever information you've entered. While you may choose to use these red navigation tabs at the top of the screen, be sure you have already clicked the next arrow for any page that you want to save data. If you fill in a page and then click on the navigation bar without selecting the next arrow, it will not save. One other important thing to remember about the LSIP system is that it will log out after 20 minutes if you are still sitting on the same page. It will not tell you that it has timed out, so if you get distracted by a phone call and you don't save it, you may find that you have to start over. Moving on from the Welcome page, we come to the Coordinator Information tab. Information for this page, while referenced as the coordinator information, in fact should include the name, position, and contact information of the employee designated by your agency responsible for complying with this chapter. So it isn't limited to developing and carrying out the implementation plan, but also includes making sure that language policies are in place and employees are adequately trained, are certified as bilingual where appropriate, that resources are in offices where they need to be, that any documents in use by units that reach the 5% threshold have been translated. All those things required under the Act. After putting in the coordinator's information, click Next to save and continue. which brings us to question 1. This table reflects your agency's corrective action plan. You can see here the proposed action to correct the deficiency that was provided in October of the even-numbered year, the date of anticipated completion. For the implementation plan phase, identify whether or not it has been corrected, and if the answer is no, if it hasn't been fully corrected, then you would put a new action plan and the anticipated date of correction. In this case, we had a 0.58 deficiency in finish. Our plan was that when a position opened up, we would advertise it as bilingual Finnish preferred. It hasn't been corrected. We'll say no qualified Finnish-speaking applicants found. We'll re-advertise. Government Code Section 7294 does specify that an employee may not be dismissed to carry out the purposes of the chapter, that we're only backfilling positions made vacant due to normal attrition. So if we've advertised the vacancy and haven't found any qualified applicants, you're making reasonable progress toward compliance. That said, if you haven't been able to correct the deficiency, you still need a plan to resolve it going forward. For the second deficiency, we'll say we did correct it. We had an employee in the unit who spoke Spanish that we were able to certify. In that case, we don't need to put anything in the plan area because the deficiency has been resolved, so we don't need a plan to resolve it. Remember, the system can time out if you go too long before clicking next. In this case, I did actually save and brought up the logged out screen to demonstrate what it would look like. If you had actually been logged out, you wouldn't be able to get your information back. During this training, I showed you a statute between filling out these questions. As you're actually entering information, I don't advise you do that. If something does come up, you may click next to save. Then when you come back, because you may have been logged out and there's no indicator, any information you enter at that point would not save. In order to resolve that issue, begin by logging out, which opens up the login page. Once you're logged in, pick the question that you needed to return to. Going back to question 1 here, we can see that everything is saved. Clicking next to continue, we reach the written materials deficiency area. Question 2, we had identified a website posting called Training Example that needs to be translated into Finnish. Our plan was to identify a translator through the American Translators Association to work with contracting to establish appropriate scope of work documentation, being sure to include accessibility compliance. We said that would be completed by June 30th of 2023, and it was. We'll click next to continue again, and that concludes the implementation plan. On the end of implementation plan page, if you have completed some of the information, but you need to come back later, be sure to check the first box, because once you click I've completed all responses, then the system will lock on you, and if you need to get back in and make a change, reach out to bilingual@calhr.ca.gov, request that we unlock the system, and we in the office would need to put in a help ticket for you. That can be avoided if you check the first button instead of the second. For those of you familiar with the process, you may know that you need your departmental director to sign off on the transmittal form. You may be wondering, If I need to bring information to my director for review to get the sign off, how do I do that if I can't click the button saying I'm ready to print a copy for review and complete the transmittal form? So here's an insider hot tip. If you navigate back to the questions area, click on question 1, go up to the 3 dots in the corner, go to print. Hit print to PDF. You can do it through Microsoft or through Acrobat if you've got it. I'm saving over an existing file here, but of course you could navigate to wherever you want to save it. Then do the same with the second question. And you may also need the information that these questions are based on, so you can print report 4 about which units are meeting threshold and what's required where. For more information about that, see the language survey training. And for the final coup de grace, once you log out, you now have access to the implementation plan transmittal form. It's available at calhr.ca.gov/documents/calhr-775.pdf. Once you've completed your review and you're confident that no further changes are needed, go back to End of IP. You may print a copy for your records or save a PDF. You can see that it has the responses listed. This would be saved in the same way, and once you've got the digital file, you could open that and print from there. Or if you prefer, you could select a printer from this interface to print directly to paper. Then once that's through, click I've completed the implementation plan printed copies and am ready to complete the transmittal form. Step 1 is the important thing that we need for our system to recognize and credit you for completion. You have to click here to record that you've participated. Once that's done, if you need a copy of the director's transmittal form or the copy of the report 4, those are available here. We no longer require you to mail in the documents. You may email the transmittal form and we can get the other information from inside the system. That concludes the implementation plan online training. Feel free to email or call if you have any questions.